So we're talking about master franchising, and now you're ready. So let's talk about what is a franchise, master franchise. We're going to give you go out over the typical size and scope. You need to figure out if you're the right candidate. Some people are just a single candidate. We need to talk about the benefits of being a master franchise and what are the disadvantages. Again, um, you know, this is a great opportunity to be a master franchise. I want to talk to you about some key terms and agreements, support you must supply. I'll get you some case studies out there and some of the cost and length of it. So let's get right into it. So what is a master franchise? So basically it's the right that we give to you to develop a certain area or a brand in your territory. So what it is you're not going to just own one location within 5 kilometers. We can't put any other location. You're really acting as what we call a franchisor in your market, or what we call it as a sub-franchise. You're going to recruit, you're going to train, and you're going to support. So you're going to do the process that the franchisor does to get people to join their systems, but you're going to do it within your territory. And for the reward of that, you're going to share the fees and the royalties with the brand owner. So really, there's different ways to do a typical master franchise. So there's a territory, okay, within a country, within a region, or within a province. So you'll see some people that will say, okay, you can have all of Canada, or you can have Western Canada, or you have Eastern Canada, or you can have Alberta, you can have the provinces. Or even I've seen, and we do it at Southbrook, we do it where it's even by Northern Ontario and Southern Ontario. Expect anywhere from 10 to 100 units within your master. And usually the term is anywhere between 10 and 20 years. So that's usually what happens is you're going to see 10 years with a 10-year option. And everything, so today I'm just going to give you the guideline. And then when you deal with either ourselves at Southbrook or any of the other brands, it will vary. So are you the right candidate? So you can't just be anybody to do this, okay? You have to have some leadership skills and some business skills. So if you were working all the time for a business, but were always the person that led that business, then you would be okay. If you were a CEO, a president of a company, yes, you would. If you were an entrepreneur that grew your company, you would be great also. You do have to have some strong financial capability, because usually what happens is you're going to have to open one store and then the rest of the store will be sub-franchise. You want to understand that market, so you have to have some market history of that area. Plus, you want to have some local networking. So you're not just, maybe you knew the mayor, the councilman, you know the local businesses there. You have to be able to team build, because again, like any business, you need to build a team. And you have to have the ability to recruit people. So this is not just get into the business 5 years and leave. You're really doing a long-term capability of joining the master franchise. So what is the advantage of a master franchise? So exclusive right to territory, so no one can get into your territory and develop it. You have that right. And for argument's sake today, it's all of Ontario. No one else can come in and do that development. So what happens is you will share in the franchise fee and you will share in the royalties. And it's usually a 50-50 split for the franchisor and for the franchisee. We do have a brand that we represent called Jumping Bean, who also wants to share not just the royalties and just the ad fund and the franchise fee, but they're going to share and let you control the distribution of the product. So in this case, and I'm going to go into that, is you have another way to make money. It's an opportunity to really grow your own business, a scalable business. You know, you're going to be able to build a brand and bring in franchisees and help them lead them to their success. And the advantage is you're using the franchisor's systems to be successful. The other thing is you build in equity in your territory. So the great thing about this is you have the ability to build equity. So if you ever do want to sell, you have something to sell. First of all, because you have a 20-year term, but not just because of that. All of a sudden you have a corporate store yourself, and let's say you have 20 franchisees, and they're all bringing in income for you. The disadvantage is it is a high investment level. Okay, so it's not just a one store. You have to have a couple things. You got to have a one store. You got to have money to recruit franchisees. You have to have money to not just to recruit franchisees, but to train franchisees. You're going to have extra money to do marketing dollars. As you know, in any franchise, and this is a great learning tool, is the franchisor will always do marketing for the national, but individually, each store will have to do local store marketing. It is a long-term commitment, 20 years. You have, really, it's not about running one store. You're going to really have to be involved in every aspect of the business in every location. So you're not going to have to run that store, but you're going to have to understand each store differently. You also have a development schedule. So there is pressure there because one of the disadvantages, if you don't meet the the development agreement, you could actually lose your development rights. There really is, and this is with any franchise, and I don't know if looking back after I wrote this presentation, it's whether or not it's a disadvantage, a limited flexibility, or must follow franchise rule, because that is the franchise business. So that you could consider that a disadvantage, then maybe you're not meant to be in a franchise, but it is also an advantage because now you have a system and you have everything that you need to follow at your hands. Then you have a risk of poor performing franchisees. So what do you do when your franchisees don't perform? Okay, now you have to correct not just your store if you didn't perform, let's just say, you have to correct all the stores. So let's talk about some of the key factors. So I mentioned it before. You're going to have an initial master franchise, and people do it differently. A lot of things is based on location. They'll say, okay, if you have 15 locations, you times it by a certain amount of dollar figure, and that's what you're going to pay up front. Okay, so for example, there's 15 locations you're going to do, and the franchisor says it's $10,000 a location. I'm just making up that number. That means it's $150,000. They may figure another way that, they may say each province, no matter the size, I want 200,000. So basically, if you did Alberta, it's going to be 200,000. If you did Ontario, it's 200,000. It's just another step figure that they have. Or they may say they want, $1 million for all of Canada. So really, you really have to talk to the franchisor on the way they do it. But normally, it's a set fee per amount of locations. So you're going to have the royalty and the franchise fee. Like I said, it's usually a 50-50. Sometimes in the advertisement fee, the franchisor will allow you to keep more. So again, if it's a 6% royalty, then you get 3 and the other person gets 3. Again, we talked about development schedules. We talked about exclusive development rights, that you have that. We talked about a little bit before about a renewal clause, which is a clause where, after 10 years, so really what happens is you have a 10-year initial term with a 10-year contract and two 5-year options. And again, everybody's different, or they set a 20-year term plus two 5 years options. And why they do that 20 years, again, I'm talking about standards. There could be some deviations, is because by the time that you developed all those stores that you need after 10 years, you need another 10 years just to make some income. Not that you won't make income on the first 10 years, but again, those stores are maturing and they're turning over and they're also renewing. And then, of course, the stores have to all follow standards. So you are going to turn into the mentor. You may have to please some of the franchisees, meaning, come on, let's follow standards, let's keep it, let's build sales. But you also should be really a source of nurturing for your franchisees. So again, we talked about this. Master franchise fee could be 100,000 up to several million. You're going to need some additional infrastructure. At one point, you're going to need an area manager after, X amount of stores. And it varies, okay? And then you're also going to start needing a marketing manager. And you're going to start needing a head office. And then you're going to start needing a procurement manager. So the more that you grow, the more that you're going to have to start doing infrastructure. So support, this is a very important slide. You're going to recruit and vet franchisees. You're going to train and give them operational support. So everything that you want as a franchisee, you're going to now have to do. You're going to market it nationally. You're going to help them market local. So yes, the franchisor will do national marketing, but you're going to do some national marketing within your area, and you're going to enforce that the local store marketing needs to be done. You're going to do compliance monitoring. You're going to go into the stores and make sure that they're doing things right and that they're focused and that they're growing. You're going to coach. You're really going to be that brand ambassador. So when can you say you're ready? So it all stems on, really, at the end of the day, for you as the master franchisor, is do you have enough capital and financing? And then, do you really understand what a master franchise responsibility is? And from there, can you build a management team? And are you here for the long term? And are you here to grow your brand within your territory? So, case study, Subway, great Middle Eastern expansion. They grew to over 100 stores, and the reason why they grew to 100 stores in this was because they had strong training skills for their franchisees, and they had marketing instruction. So the lesson here was they were committed, they had the capital, and they built a team. And then there was a case studies where, we've, and in my past over time, where they could never meet their targets. They were always having a high turnover of their existing franchisees and poor franchise support. So the lesson that was learned in this one is that you have to have the local store marketing knowledge in that area, and you also have to be able to support the franchisees. So here is something for you to say. Do you have at least minimum $250,000 in capital? Do you have any management team or a partner that wants to come in? Do you have a local marketing knowledge? And are you ready to commit 10 to 20 years of your life to this? If yes, then you're a great candidate. So I want to talk about Jumping Bean. Jumping Bean is on our master franchise list. This is where we're going to break up all of Canada into provinces and into maybe even go deeper sub. It is a coffee brand that is in not just in that you just sell as a cafe, but they're in grocery stores, they're in on Amazon, they're in Costco, and then what their difference is compared to it, they will let you manage the supply chain. So you will need, in this case, a warehouse, and you will deliver the product. So you're making your money, and this to me is the only franchise, master franchise that I know or I've worked with that does that. You're going to make money on the franchise fee. You're going to make money on the royalties, and you're going to make huge money on the distribution. So very great brand. Started in Newfoundland, 10 stores, 15 years in franchising. Then there's Zoop Eatery. This is a US brand that is coming into Canada. They have 3 stores in Canada and Ontario. And Zoop Eatery is basically a concept that is soup, macaroni and cheese, flat pizzas, very, very franchise-driven local store marketing, catering powerhouse, huge opportunity in powerhouse, low costs of entry for your franchisees to get in. There's no fryers and grills or hoods, and a real broad menu. And again, this company belongs to a huge company in the US called Wildworks. Then there's Fruitable. So that's the sister company of Zoop Eatery. They have dine-in, takeout, delivery, and catering. Again, this is what you call superfood. And there's a couple brands already in Canada. One is coming up from the States that was just announced a couple days ago from a different concept. And this is what we call superfoods. A huge opportunity. This is people, this has a great average check, okay? A healthy concept, a nutritional concept, millenniums after gym, breakfast, snack, late night. This is what we call a lifestyle brand with a strong social engagement, okay? Another brand that's interested in multi-unit or master. Then you have, sorry about that, then you have Big Mama Papa Pizzeria. This is a chain that we've already taken into Canada. It has 6 master franchises already and expanding. This is the home of the 54-inch pizza. It has a lot of PR, but I don't want to get into that part of it. That's the benefit, one of the benefits. It has a dine-in and a takeout compact version, huge catering and delivery concept, and really has specialty pizza, sandwiches, salads, pastas, and dessert. Great concept, already in Canada with about 6 master franchise. Then you have the Fritter Shop. So basically, this is a Dutch style franchise. We have 1 master franchise in GTA. Again, kiosks, cafe, single units, rotating menu. It's all about fritters, okay? This is what we're selling in a cafe experience. 1 master franchise already in Canada. Then you have Peterland, who would look at a Middle Eastern concept, 56 stores and growing, over 20 years in businesses. Again, anywhere from 800 to 1,200 square feet looking for master franchises. So in summary, master franchise is building your own business. It's a huge opportunity with great responsibility. You get a scalable revenue. You get some challenges, but you get more benefits than the challenge it, and it requires great leadership. So I just wanted to see if anybody has any questions. Um, you know, let me see. That's my presentation, and thank you very much. I do have one question that came up is why are you talking about why do people do individual provinces, uh, sub I'm trying to read it sub provinces and also just Canada? Just different styles. So the question is why am I talking about not all of Canada basically? Just different people. I mean, you're going to limit but in two ways. You limit your liability for the franchisor, because if someone doesn't meet their development schedule, then you have the whole issue of Canada. But for the their franchisee, it's also limited. It's that they can actually achieve their agreement because they're focused on the town that they're in. It's actually some cost saving because you don't have to fly all over the place also. So hopefully that did. The other question that just came up was what happens if you do not meet your schedule? So if you don't meet your schedule, a lot of times what happens is they give you a warning. There's a cure period that you have to. You may have to go in and renegotiate. Maybe it's too much, too fast. But usually there's a cure period that says, okay, you have another 6 months. They may charge you, an extra $5,000, $10,000 for the cure period, and I've seen that. But usually a franchisor will work with you. Good. Any more questions? What is the best master franchise out there? So, good question. I can't answer that question. But really, what it is pick and choose what you want to do. So, a lot of the ones I've talked about are food. But if there, you could do some of this in master franchising in non-food. So I do have some brands that are non-food brands. I just mentioned food because people know food as a master franchise, but there are other brands that can help you. Well, thank you very much. I don't see any more questions. Walk you through next steps. Um, Not sure if it's the right time to expand in master franchising. You want to figure out what the next steps would look like. You want to understand this big decision. You want to get some outside perspective of franchise experts, and you want to talk us through. We are booking, and here is something you can take your picture of and book a meeting with us. We do have a free booking call with us to understand what you need and whether or not master franchising is right for you. Here's our contact information. So I'm just going to leave this on the screen for a little bit and call me. My name is Joel, but if you call that, one of us will get back to you immediately. So if there's no more questions, then I would love to speak with you. Have a great day, weekend, and speak to you soon. Thank you.